Welcome to Doing the Most, the series where we talk about the misadventures of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Georgie, execution strategist and serial entrepreneur. This series is here to get real about what entrepreneurial life truly looks like. We are driven, persistent, hardworking, ambitious. We are human, and these are our stories. Welcome back to Doing the Most, the misadventures of entrepreneurship. Today, our amazing guest is Lieah Torbert, and she's going to talk to us about her misadventures and adventures through the entrepreneurial ecosystem, about her business, about how she got started, and just what she's doing and how she's getting stuff done. Lieah, I would love for you to give us an introduction, 2 to 3 minute introduction about who you are and what got you started.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. Again, my name is Lieah Torbert. I am the owner of Harrington Strategic Partners. And what I do is I work with solopreneurs and small business owners one-on-one to help them build out all of the infrastructure that they're going to need for their businesses to actually scale. What I found in my career, and then again, working with my clients, a lot of small business owners, you get out there, you've got a great idea, you're really passionate about what you do and what you want to do to help people in the world, but you don't necessarily have a great business background. So you may be a wonderful plumber, or you might be an amazing nutritionist, but you don't know anything about accounting or HR or helping the people that work for you and hiring and all those tons and tons of things that you have to do every day. And so what I do is I go in and help put a structure in place, help get consistent processes and training and software and things like that to really help put the infrastructure and the foundation of the business so that as the owner, you can go out and focus on what you do best and leave all that other stuff, to someone else and automate what you can so you can grow your business.
Nice. That is truly amazing. And I do similar work in that sector as well, because so oftentimes, business owners are spending too much time doing all the little stuff when they should be out there closing the big deals and truly getting stuff done and growing the company, because that right there stunts a lot of the growth. And, they just feel stuck when it's not the product or the service is the problem. It's the systems behind the product and service. That's the issue. Cool. And I see here, you started this when you were pretty young, about 17 years old. Could you talk to us a little bit about how you got your start in the startup ecosystem?
Well, I just completely at random, I was hired to work for a bookstore that was right down the street from me. And originally it was just supposed to be a seasonal job, come in and help handle through the, Christmas, season to, just overflow work. And I hit it off really well with the owner of the company, and the bookstore had only been open about a year. And we decided that I was going to stay on, and I stayed with them full time until I was right around 26, and then part-time until the store closed several years later, because I just loved it so much and I got so much out of it. But ultimately, what I ended up doing was reorganizing the way the entire store was run, really looking at how customers needed to find the books that they were looking for, the kinds of questions that they would ask, and really making sure that we had an amazing environment for our customers when they came in, and that we would be able to help them very, very quickly find what they do. It was not always the easiest thing. The owner of the store, he's still a mentor to me now. He's one of my favorite people in the world, but we didn't always get along, didn't always see eye to eye on how things should be run, because he was very much we're a bookstore. If they want a book, they'll come in kind of guy. And I was like, well, if we want to sell more, maybe we need to do some things to just make it easier for them to find what they're looking for. And ultimately we did that. We had over 125,000 books in stock, and we didn't have a computer inventory. So we really had to know where it was when they came in. Otherwise we'd lose the sale because we weren't able to help them right away.
Wow. So that's so amazing that you're able to kind of talk through and just help them to get that done. Because I know, do you have any percentages or anything to kind of just shout out how much it increased through that change that you made?
Well, I'd say somewhere between 15 and 20% increase in sales overall, but our customer satisfaction, went through the roof because we're a local store and people would continue to come in. So we developed a relationship with them, and over time we'd be able to anticipate what they needed. We could set things aside for them, and they would know based off of who was there that day, like who's the expert in what section, so they'd know right away who they could talk to. And it was a much friendlier environment for everybody to come in, instead of your like Barnes and Noble type where it's just, all right, we'll look it in the computer, and if it's not here, it's not here.
Nice. So they, you were able to help them keep that personal touch that they offered before while using the technology to kind of speed up the process.
Yes.
Awesome. Nice. Now what I want to do is take a little shift of gears a little bit and start talking about your misadventures. So, we talked about, how you got the nice part done, but if we could talk a little bit about what's the craziest entrepreneurial journey that you've had so far?
I'd say the craziest one from a potential client standpoint, I met a young lady at a networking event who told me that she was being recruited for a project and she didn't really feel like she was the best person for it. And so she introduced me to the gentleman that she'd been talking to. He was in the hard money lending industry, which, if you're not familiar with that, the idea is if you want to, be a house flipper, if you want to buy real estate and for investment purposes, you can't always go through traditional lending, so you go to a hard money lender. The financing behind those kinds of things is just a little bit different, and what he was looking to do was to scale his business from being a local lender to statewide and then eventually nationwide. And we had some amazing conversations, and we were talking about the vision of his company and where he wanted it to go. And, things just seemed really great. It was like one of those perfect synergistic relationships. We were going to, take over the world. It was going to be amazing, business relationship for both of us. But what I found out was that he had kind of misrepresented himself a little bit as far as how big his company was. And ultimately, I had invested a lot of time in the client and found out that he really couldn't afford the services that we'd been talking about. And he made me an offer to work for free for a couple of years and then earn some kind of commission or ownership percentage when things actually started making money. And in a different time or place, some kind of investment like that might have been attractive. But when I'm first starting my own company out and trying to build my own client base, I was a little disappointed. So it taught me some lessons on some different kinds of questions to ask to get some clarification up front before you really invest a lot of time into putting proposals together.
Yeah, definitely. Because time is money, and
yes.
Clearly somebody did not have the money but wanted your time. I don't know. I think also that goes into integrity, right? Because he didn't allow you the space to properly make a decision before you did the work. Because again, he wasn't forthcoming with the information that he gave you. So you're assuming, based on the information that was given, that the compensation would be there. And for him to just kind of like now last minute after you've done put in who knows how many hours, he's like, oh, by the way, about that payment plan. So that's that's definitely unfair. And I see people do that a lot of the times and take advantage of early startup companies or new early stage entrepreneurs. And it's like there is a time and place for that. So I wanted to kind of talk about that in the sense of everyone is now like attacking when people say, oh, this is an experience-based opportunity or an equity-based opportunity. Could you talk a little bit about something that would be a good like equity-based or experience-based opportunity? And have you ever had one of those versus, just, hey, do a whole bunch of work for no money? Like, when is it a good time to say, yes, I'll take the experience. Yes, I'll take the the exposure or the equity?
Well, I think a good time for that would be if you're trying to move into a new market where you don't have a solid reputation. So you have transferable skills. What I do, I can work with just about anybody, any industry, but a lot of times they want to talk to people that you've worked with before to see how things worked for them, just to get an idea of what your process is. So if they have a unique industry, if it's something that's not readily transferable, I think that would be a good idea. And I have done that. I decided as one of my markets that I wanted to move into health and wellness. And so I negotiated a smaller payment for the work in order to get the client and get the experience I needed. That way I could learn about the industry and how the inner workings go, and just get some experience working there to where I could actually reach out to other clients and build a business there.
Nice. So I just wanted to reiterate for the listeners, see what's in it for you, right? Lieahs holistically looked at the situation and said, okay, what can I get out of this in the long run, right? Not just giving your time and money for free, because there was like a beneficial exchange for this. She wanted to infiltrate that industry and was able to do that, and was able to knock down the price point a bit lower, but then the value that she got, because now future customers from that industry, because she had like a portfolio piece or something to truly upsell her products and services in the future, made it make sense. So guys, make it make sense when you're doing work in exchange for equity, exposure, or experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I wanted to talk about now, your company. What's behind the name Harrington Strategic Partners?
Well, a lot of people ask me that, and the first thing I always tell everybody is no one can spell my name. My mother, the running joke in the family is that my mom just really likes vowels. She crammed as many vowels in my first name as she could come up with, and I didn't want to name my company after myself, because then they'd never be able to find me online. So I was kind of brainstorming with a buddy of mine one night, because I didn't really want to go for the trendy jingle type name. It really didn't fit with what I was trying to do with my business. And buddy of mine, he's like, you read a lot, you're very well read, you love doing that kind of thing. He's like, is there a book character that you can identify with that you could use? And immediately Harrington popped into my head. Honor Harrington is the main character for a sci-fi series by David Weber, and she is a tough as nails, tenacious go-getter. She doesn't let anybody get in her way. She's honorable. She takes care of her friends and her family, and she is just an amazing individual and a wonderful role model. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to build this business and stand for something, I mean, everything she is and does is exactly what I would want my company to be. And so Harrington was born.
Wow. I'm happy I asked. That's a really good story. I really like that. Versus, there's many reasons we come up with names. I saw it on a truck and it just struck out to me. The names of our companies. Mm-hmm. There's many reasons why we come up with them, but that's a really interesting name, and just tying it back into the productivity aspect of getting stuff done. And so now I want to dive a little deeper and ask you, what are some positive adventures that you've had on this entrepreneurial journey that made it so this is that this is where you belong? And you told me entrepreneurship, you didn't choose entrepreneurship, the path just kind of happened, and it essentially chose you. So like, what are some of the signs that affirm that like saying that it chose you? Mm-hmm.
I would say I have tried several times in my career to leave the entrepreneurial environment, the startup environment. And every single time I've tried, it has not gone well. I've found a company that seemed like it was where I thought I wanted to be. I had this big idea that I was going to, get into corporate and move up the ladder, and that's how you made money. And, I was younger at the time. I didn't really understand, some of the other things besides money that you look for. And I was successful. I got the roles. And even just 4 or 5 weeks into it, I knew that I'd made a huge mistake. I worked in several different companies just trying, maybe it's just the environment here. No, I don't belong in that kind of environment. I love being a change agent. I love having the ability to work with people one-on-one and see them grow, to look at how the company is changing and moving in the direction that we actually want it to, and being part of something bigger. I mean, when you work in the startup world, you're affecting very, very closely everyone around you. You're impacting people's lives, their careers, their families, and you get to hear those stories one-on-one. When you work in the corporate environment, you miss out on that. You're just a number. You're a cog in the bigger machine. It's really hard to see how you're having that critical impact. But in the startup world, if you're good at what you do, you can see that every day.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as the ecosystems change and as the workforce changes, people are starting to realize and have like these portfolio careers. I think someone coined it as where it's like you're not working at one organization for the 30, 40, 50 years as people previously did. It's like you may be working at a contract or at an organization for maybe 5, 6 years tops, and then you're moving on to your next thing, your next industry, your next career. You're starting a business, you're shutting it, you're exiting the business, you're shutting it down, you're moving on to your next venture. So it's just being okay and accepting like kind of the path for you, and knowing that once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, and that doesn't take away from you if you do like a corporate job for a while, and or if you want to be in a more structured environment, because entrepreneurship is not easy, even though and you are the CEO and you are in charge, and even if your company is making millions, billions of dollars a year, this crazy up and down like literally just never stops. Even if your employees have structure, you as the entrepreneur, you're still like, oh my gosh, I need a sick day or 12. But you are that foundational piece to you mentioned like being a part of like the cog. You are the machine. Like you cannot go anywhere really. Like you are the entire machine. So it's like, what are you going to choose at this point in time? You're going to be a part of the machine, or are you going to be the machine? So being open to that adventure and that change is really key and important. And then what has your support system been like throughout your journey as an entrepreneur? Did you always have support from family and friends? And you said, you transitioned slowly from the company that you were working at before, but were there anyone in your circle that doubted you, said, hey, I think you should stay at this company, stability, hello, what are you doing?
Oh, absolutely. I think my mom thought I lost my mind when I told her I was walking away from a 6-figure job to start my own business. It's just something for her, especially for her generation. They're not geared that way, and for her, it's like, but you're making the money. You work at a stable company. You seem like you've achieved everything that you set out to. Like, why would you leave? And trying to explain it to people that just don't have the desire to try something new, to see what you're truly capable of and push the limits, it can be very difficult. But I've been fortunate that I have several key people in my circle, several close friends that own their own businesses, or if they don't, they're at least very supportive of my desire to. My boyfriend has been absolutely amazing in listening to me in all the ups and downs of everything that has happened since I started Harrington. And I have met a rock solid, amazing group of women here in Houston, and we have developed our own accountability circle. We meet every week, usually by Zoom, and we just, we talk about what our goals for the week are, what we accomplished, all the different things that, it's working great or it's not working so much, and we can ask for advice and guidance and help each other. And that has been just really key to maintaining my calm and my joy in all the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
Nice. That's really good, because having that support system is everything. And we, as you mentioned, you find that it could be digitally, it could be in person, it could be family, friends. Sometimes it's not family, friends, and it's okay to have like diversity amongst who's in your circle, where they come from. But just having a support system is so essential for every entrepreneur, because it gets scary and it will get lonely, and then you'll overthink, you'll doubt, you'll feel like, what the heck am I doing? You'll feel like you want to quit more often than you might think. But just having that support system to kind of help you keep it pushing, keep it going, and know that at the other side of this is something great is really essential.
Yes.
As we're coming up on the end of the interview, I like to ask 2 more questions. The first question is, what are your hopes for the next 4 to 5 years as an entrepreneur? And do you have any, big projects coming in the loop that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'll start with the projects first. I am in the middle of a transition in my business. Up until this point, I primarily worked in a one-on-one consulting and coaching standpoint, and I will still do that if I find the right clients. But what I've found is that a lot of people that I meet desperately need the help, but they're not in a financial position because they are in a startup environment to be able to work with a consultant one-on-one. So I'm building out an online program that it's going to be similar to like a small business MBA, to where you can go through the courses and build those skills in that you haven't learned in whatever journey has gotten you to where you are, so that you can understand the different aspects of your business and be better able to actually hire people when you get to that point that can help you. But also if you're in the professional world and you're considering entrepreneurship or maybe a career change, then the classes could help you there as well. And I'm building out a productivity mastermind that is going to be launching in July. That's going to be absolutely amazing. It's built off of the 12-week year by Brian Moran. If you haven't read that yet, you absolutely should. It is just a complete growth hack on how to get things accomplished in a short amount of time. And I'm hoping to help bring that to more people. Nice. Long term, what I'm looking to do, I don't have any intention of, working from the beach on Harrington or anything like that. I would really like to become an influencer and a speaker, and really help support women, especially in their entrepreneurial journey. We don't have the kind of support system that we need all the time, and I think the more women that are out there showing that it can be done and being real about it and being open about these struggles that we have to go through, I think that's really important. So I would like to really spend some time, once I get my business scaled and I can support taking the time away from it to work on that side. I see myself spending a lot of time there.
Nice. Awesome. I think, you'd be a good fit for that, and I look forward to hearing more about the course. And guys, there should be some links by the time this interview is released. There should be some links in the caption section for you to check it out as well, and maybe even participate and sign up for that. And the final question is, what pieces of advice, tangible steps, like actionable things you want to leave the audience with for, maybe a piece of homework for them to do, or something that they should always keep at the top of mind as an entrepreneur, as a doer?
I'd say the most important thing that I've learned in my journey, outside of making sure that you have a support circle, is being very clear on what you need to do. I think that having your days lined out, having your activities blocked on your calendar, being very clear on how much time you need to allocate to the different areas of your business to really support the level of success that you're looking for. I think that's key, because we wear so many different hats every day. You know, we are marketing, we are sales, we are purchasing, we are distribution. We're all of these things that maybe in another life we had people to help us with. And so we have to automate everything that we can, be clear on what our processes are, and just try not to fall victim to the squirrel mentality and jump from thing to thing in a, putting out fires. Be really consistent and deliberate with where we're spending our time.
Definitely 100% agree with that. And I think that is a really good piece of advice and a tangible step for people to take. Thank you so much, Lieah, for being here with us today on Doing the Most: The Misadventures of Entrepreneurship. Guys, listeners, we'll catch you next time for another episode.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Doing the Most. Catch us here next week, same time, same place. If you can't wait, head on over to doingthemost.xyz to stay connected. Until next time, keep on doing.